And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's a snack pack, everyone. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcast. Also, as well, of course, we have Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Still got a show that you can check out that, you know what, I think is going to be good for you, because it does revolve around the NFL draft and who the winners and losers are. So please go ahead and make sure you check out Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Also, as well, of course, Joe Soros here. He's the man behind Oxide247 at LakersBall.com. Plus, also, as well, of course, he's always sin blading with Sinblades. Sinblades with the Y.com. Frank is in the house. Frank, unfortunately, saw his Dallas Mavericks, unfortunately, lose game one, the Western Conference semifinals today. Our condolences to you, sir, but maybe Luca and the gang will come back in game two. But also, of course, want to go ahead and give a shout out to the Lakerholics crew of Laker Tom and Jamie Sweet. Also, of course, want to give a big shout out to John Costa, Lakers Corner Clutch Talk. Also want to give a shout out to Stone Hansen and all the great work that he's doing for the NBA draft at report_court. I want to mention that I will try, if at all possible, to have on playback, our next playback.tv showing will be the NBA lottery. That should be fun. So hopefully you'll join us for that. Yes, if it's available on playback, I'm going to go ahead and see if we can go ahead and get together for that. But also, as well, of course, our good friends Lakers in 5, Empire Jeff TV, Daniel Barry Sports Highlights, Yo, and John McCallion channel. All these great channels, please support today. Cool Bros channel on YouTube as well. Plus, also, please make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to all of us here, including us right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Frank, well, Frank has said Kid has never won game one in any playoffs in his coaching career. Yet, Frank, they just signed him to an extension, or looking to make one indeed. So we'll see what happens with the Dallas Mavericks. We're going to be talking about the NBA playoffs today, but we're also going to be asking the question with AD, the guy who finished fourth in today's Defensive Player of the Year standings. I sent the actual voting tally to my fellow comrades on the panel, and I want to go ahead and mention that as well. But will AD and LeBron, do we still think of them? Are they still capable of winning a championship together? We're going to discuss that on the show as well. But here today to go ahead and talk about everything going on is a good man indeed. He is blowing on his computer system, like he said, like an old NES card. Good man indeed. You got to go ahead and make sure you support him today so he can upgrade his computer system by getting a new lawn today at SimbladeswithY.com, or, of course, also as well, supporting his site that he does a lot of work on, and that is Oxide247 at LakersBall.com. It is Joe Soro, and Joe, great to have you here. Cool bro, wants some advice on handling bullies. Again,
imagine they're a balloon.
Okay.
All I gotta do is pop one and they'll just go away.
Stand up to them. I think that's usually the case. If you stand up to them, show them who's boss, show them, hey, I think it was because you said it was a football game, one-on-one for you, and you kicked their ass. Sam, kick your ass on the field, and I'll kick your ass in life, and you keep it up.
There was a 2-week
Although
period.
I cannot say we condone that or say that violence is the answer, but you know,
there was a 2-week period in junior high where I don't know if I could call it bullying. I think bullying is a word used.
Teased or razzed a little bit.
I was made fun of, and it reached its limit when the perpetrator pointed at a dog and called up my mom, and the last thing he saw that day was my fist hit him in the face. No, I didn't hit him really good, unfortunately. If it wasn't a hit him and quit him type situation, I was a kid. I didn't know how to punch at that point. But it definitely stopped. I never got made fun of again. Oh, and I didn't get in trouble too. He got suspended. I didn't get it suspended.
There you go.
I did a teacher, but I never really knew.
No, cool, bro. That's not funny that your eyes felt funny after you got hit in the head. That's never a good thing. So if you continue to feel the effects of that, you might want to go ahead and seek medical assistance on that. But again, it is, of course, the Lakers fast break.
Hold on, let me be a good parent here. Cool, bro.
We're just telling you our
I'm a little bit of a
past.
cynic. I don't know what's going on. I don't trust anything out there in the world, the cyber world, especially. I don't know if you're really 15, but if you are, and you really are getting bullied, I would strongly suggest, if you don't, not a violent type, I really strongly suggest you talk to your teachers and talk to the principal. And of course, tell your parents. If your parents aren't going to represent you at school for some reason, they're busy working, I don't know, whatever, then you're not too far from where I'm at. I don't mind coming over there and representing for you.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. You got it right there. Remember the movie? Oh, actually, cool, bro. You said you sometimes go ahead and look at some of the old movies. Remember My Bodyguard, or look up My Bodyguard. Joe could be your bodyguard. And there you go. Absolutely. But it is, of course, the Lakers fast break. I know, Alan, latest rumors of the day has, of course, KD now being more and more talked about all over the place, and the Lakers are one of the places that has been talked about. I know that Joe will probably put in his 2 cents on it. But Joe, let's get to the question for what's on the marquee at the top. You have been advocating for a while now in regards to keeping things together and just building upon it. I've listened to Stone now for quite some time saying, I think the championship window has passed for LeBron and AD, and to move on from that and however best you see fit. I have come over the course of time into the realization that when you have a guy that's about ready to turn 40, and you also have another guy that played the most that he has in quite some time, the statistics and analytics do not bear out in favor of LeBron and AD ever winning a title together again. So with that in mind, that's what I'm leaning to. I didn't say I'm leaning all the way hard like Stone is, but I am leaning in that direction. But you've been advocating to keep LeBron and AD, so you still seem to think that LeBron and AD, with the right fit around them, not Kevin Durant, because of what you would have to give up in order to get Kevin Durant and the fact that he's over 35. Again, you still think that those two can put together, if the right way, can still win a championship together.
I don't know why there's a discussion about Kevin Durant.
Because you know why, Joe, because his name's out there. Phoenix has to make some moves.
This is lazy reporting, folks. Durant is already knee deep in doo-doo. It doesn't get better by forcing himself to go to LA. And I want you all to understand something here. Phoenix is not trading anything to LA. That doesn't work like that. Maybe they might trade Bradley Beal to LA for something. I don't know what, but they're not trading Durant to LA. And Durant doesn't want to play with LeBron. It just makes things worse. So it's just the Lakers are going to have to do something that they haven't done in the 8 years that Rob Pelinka has been the general manager. And that's have a season or an off season where they have a really good draft, really good pickups during the summer, and picking the right coach. Now they've sucked in all those three things the last few years. I don't know if they can do it all at once, but they're going to have to in order for them to be competing. And I don't really trust them in developing or building the next one. So Jeannie's going to have to make up her mind on whether she wants to continue this situation, which I've come to grips that that's the way it's going to go. And if you do that, well, we might have to deal with at least the purgatory side of things instead of being progressive and starting it over.
Because that's the risk you run into, Joe, if you keep those two together, is that you're just, because of the sheer fact of dollars and cents and salary cap maintenance, second apron, blah, 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 that you may not ever be able to build a team that gets you out of the current situation that you're in.
You get caught in the fact that you know what's going to happen versus fantasy. If you're here to give fantasy information, like Kevin Durant to LA, okay, that's your shtick. I don't believe that's the right way to report this. We know right now, no matter how much we think it needs to be torn up and started over, although that I don't know necessarily if you would start it over. You got Anthony Davis. He's 31. You got a star already on the team. If you were going to start this thing over, you should have started it 2 years ago. Then you would have had some time to acclimate and keep. You don't want to start without LeBron on the next phase with a 34 or 33-year-old AD. Then at that point, it might be a little different. If you're going to make this work, you have to bring in a couple guys that are going to be able to play during the playoffs. Not one, but probably a couple guys. And you're going to have to maintain the talent that you have right now. Do you see that happening? Do you see that there might be two players that the Lakers can acquire this summer that would make a difference in the playoffs? That's what it's going to take. Whether it's a star, whether it's a half a star, whether it's a quarter star. Rest in peace, Mr. McMahon. It's just Ed McMahon, by the way, folks, not Vince McMahon. I think speculation and hope for something that's not possible might tickle your fancy for the time being, but I don't know if I'm on that boat. What's likely going to happen this summer is that LeBron is going to re-sign, and probably play a couple more years. Whether he signs for the max or not, that's to be debated. That could be something we can debate for a show. I don't know. I don't know if he sees the fact that, hey, if I take a little less, maybe they can spend a little more money. I don't even know if that's actually necessarily true either, unless they're working out the aprons 1 and 2. I'm going to first see here in the next few weeks how the coaching thing develops. That's really what I'm kind of waiting for. Are they going to pick a coach before the draft? If they pick a coach before the draft, my hope is that they were looking for a coach before they fired Darvin Ham. If they started looking for a coach the day they lost to Denver in Game 5 until before the draft, that's a problem. Because I don't think you're going to be able to find the right coach in that time.
That's not long-term planning.
No. Unless they were preparing before. But they're stuck right now. There's nothing out there available in terms of name. And those who are available with a name are retrends who aren't necessarily likely going to work.
Or someone right out of the blue who comes out of the podcasting booth. Because the JJ thing has picked up steam. Joe.
Yeah, it's picking up steam. And if they hire JJ Redick and we see him within the first month not be able to tell his guys where to box out, how to box out, and stop standing around and things like that, then we're just back to square one. It's a Luke Walton Part 2 situation. Are you enamored by the young up-and-comer that you don't really know about? Lakers were mesmerized by Golden State's
that winning streak
start
when Kerr was out of the lineup.
Correct. They were mesmerized by that. They didn't, and I don't know necessarily if Laker fans in and around our circles were mesmerized. I thought, okay, well, if Luke Walton's the next Laker, let's see what he's got. Maybe I know how smart he was in terms of basketball IQ. However, that might have been a fallacy in itself because you started hearing things like Luke Walton giving the ball to Kobe with 3 seconds left on the shot clock, and Kobe's going nuts all the way through the tunnel to the point where he's yelling at everybody saying the only reason why this guy is in the league is because of his daddy. Now, that's not the reason. That Kobe Bryant doesn't get that angry unless there was a continuous issue with Luke Walton. You don't just do that off one play, right? So maybe this basketball IQ, or maybe the fact that Phil Jackson loved Luke Walton because of his IQ. I don't know. I don't know what the deal of that is, but the Lakers are in a predicament right now where if they don't find a Phil Jackson to coach this team, I'm not talking about the personality, I'm talking about impact, then we are shoveling sand into the water, into the ocean. And that's us watching play-in games and 7th and 8th seeds and trying to tell ourselves that the Lakers have a chance at winning it all. We're watching Minnesota, we're watching Oklahoma City do things now in the playoffs that their seeds have confirmed. These guys are not a joke. Matchup problem or not, I don't think the Lakers would have beat Minnesota if they had faced Minnesota, even if they had beaten Denver.
He's now fully come over to the dark side with me on that.
It's looking like Minnesota is the real deal, but it's still too soon, folks. If Denver wins in Minnesota in game 3, this thing changes. So we got to slow our roll a little bit. We got to let this play out. The only issue I have right now in the league, really, is the Celtics. The Celtics cannot win a championship by any means possible. If that happens, this season becomes one of the worst seasons since 2008.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. Jeremy wants to know what you're drinking, or some type of orange soda.
No, it's a Topo Chico, and I put a little bit of MQ in there for a little flavor.
Okay. Fair enough. Of course, please go ahead and make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to go ahead and get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break. And that's something that we want to go ahead and ask Joe, because I think when it comes right down to it, whatever coach that you hire, obviously, again, if you have LeBron and AD as your championship duo, it's again, if you looked at it on paper and somebody said, hey, Joe, coming into the season, you're going to have a season where LeBron and AD are playing at their healthiest level that they have virtually their entire time that they've been with the Lakers. The team itself would shoot in the top 10 behind the arc, would still be able to go ahead and, as far as provide you enough transition points to make it one of the highest offensive teams in the NBA, yet still not be able to find their way out of the 7th seed in the Western Conference. Again, JSJ is asking, how can we avoid the play-in next year? And really, with these two, the way they're at, Joe, it's really hard for me to answer that question.
LeBron's going to be a year older. AD's a year older. So you'd have to cover, and this was the most healthy Laker team in terms of their 2 stars since 2020. That's the travesty of the series. That's why when someone says, well, Joe, LeBron's a coach killer. This is his 9th coach that he's helped fire. I have to quickly point out, folks, we had the best shooting Laker team in decades. LeBron played 71 games. AD played 76 games. Rui Hachimura shot the best of his career. D'Angelo Russell shot best of his career in terms of 3-pointers. Austin shot really well. You had a lot of improvement. You had a lot of players doing what we said at the beginning of the year. If they were going to do this, the Lakers would be a problem. Where it fell off is the incredibly terrible coaching by Darvin Ham. and a little bit obviously of the defense. And that was why he was hired, correct? That's what I
Yes.
was told. So you were hired to help this team play defense, yet they set records for offense. So imagine if you had this guy actually coaching defense and then you had this kind of offensive output, then maybe there would have been a better situation. Oh, wait a minute. You guys fired one of the best defensive coaches of the last 15 years in Frank Vogel because of that monstrosity and the worst decision the Lakers organization has ever made in Russell Westbrook. And these are the things that we have to fall back on and finding out why and what and who. And it leaves a little optimism when these decisions are continuing to be made.
Wanted to ask you real quick. I know Jeremy pointed out in the chat. Always want to make sure to take care of Jeremy, one of our great friends from down under and one of your biggest supporters, Joe. He was asking your thoughts on Jamal Murray in yesterday's game, with the game that I guess that Minnesota proved that they are Denver's daddy. You had Jamal Murray flash the money sign. He threw a heating pad and a towel in the direction of the floor. The heating pad actually made the floor. He obviously argued and yelled at the refs on repeated occasions. Michael Malone went into the face nose to nose with the referee and didn't get anything called on him. I know if it was the Lakers, I don't think we would have been so fortunate. All he got was, as far as Murray got, was $100,000 fine. Malone didn't get squat. Your thoughts on the possible favoritism that the refs are showcasing and the NBA is showcasing?
It's not favoritism. It's a matter of,
it's impossible.
If you get rid of Jamal in Game 3, you pretty much put the nail in Denver's season.
Did he deserve a suspension? If it was, let's say it took place last week against the Lakers,
he wouldn't have gotten suspended, no.
But you think it was worth it?
Because he's not a repeat type guy. This was a one-time offense that we can remember with Jamal Murray. I think the problem with Jamal Murray is his mouth. Somebody needs to shut it. That would be the better way to.
Minnesota is close to doing that.
That would be the better way. Well, I meant literally. Somebody needs to shut it, because what happens with a lot of these guys, I remember I was bringing up 2008 before. I remember when the Celtics beat the Lakers in 2008. They looked like a team that had never done something like that before. So they were very boisterous and very arrogant and very, entitled at that point, until they came back down to earth the next couple of years. And then, of course, as soon as Kobe got out of the way and the Lakers got out of the way, then Celtics had to deal with LeBron and the Heat. And that's the issue with that. That's Jamal Murray, Michelle Malone, and their antics are one of adolescent children. And now they're getting popped in the mouth, nice and figuratively, nice and easy. I mean, Minnesota had never gone past the second round other than one time in 2004, are went into Denver in that altitude and punked you twice. And they're going to punk you probably in Game 3. They punk you in Game 3, it's likely a sweep. Then
they got Gobert coming back.
Yeah, you can go do your thing, go do whatever it is that you do, and relax. You won a championship, congratulations. But Lakers have had more repeats than some people have had championships, so easy there. You're getting the old men at the downside of their career, and of course the incompetence of management. That's just the way it is right now. But enjoy your life, enjoy your situation, and stop being a stupid moron. Which that was just a stupid move. Somebody could have slipped and hurt themselves.
Jeremy, Christian Wood will pick up the $3 million option because he does not have a. Look how hard it was for him to get a job last year before he signed with the Lakers, and you're asking him to go out into the market again. Yeah, I just see him picking up that $3 million after such a disappointing season for him, asking for another chance to go ahead and try to prove himself to stay in the league, which I'm not sure at this point he can, Joe. So your thoughts on Christian Wood? I'm pretty sure he's going to pick up that $3 million option.
Hopefully we can package them together on a trade or something. Christian Wood just doesn't have what it takes to be a rotational player when it matters. Too much distraction, too much faulty game. He's good for 10, 20 games a year. That's about it.
So with that, you again still need better decision making in order to determine fully whether or not this team can build around LeBron AD a championship window. Because Alan said it best. He said, when talking about building a team on yesterday's chat, he was talking more about probably the most opportune time to build a championship level team is when you have them in the early to mid 20s, like you have now with when their stars are in their early to mid 20s, like they have now in Oklahoma City and Minnesota, for the most part, for those two teams. It is really enticing to go ahead and be able to build around that because of how they haven't signed their extensions yet, or they're just on their first extension. It's just more advantageous as opposed to the Lakers, who have their top two players. And again, their 40-year-old is just about ready to sign what most likely will be a $50 to $60 million a year extension himself, most likely this summer.
Yeah, and that in itself is Brandon Ingram timing with these contracts is really what plays a factor in it. Brandon Ingram is going to get paid over $200 million, which is just asinine. But there's no choice. Either they sign him or they lose him for nothing. But even then, it's just, what are they going to do? They're not going to win, or they're going to win, or they might win. The NBA is a weird. It's weird. David Stern for years, he had 2 lockouts because he didn't know how to run a league without Michael Jordan, Magic, and Bird. And if somebody out in the NBA world heard me say that, they'd look at me like I was some troll online on the internet. But I would like to sit down with that person and say, okay, I want you to explain to me what David Stern did from 1998 and beyond that benefited the league. I mean, 2 lockouts, that's and the way the salaries were structured, the way you've gotten to the point where you're paying these guys so much money, and 90% of them don't have any business making that kind of money, and therefore trying to rebuild, trying to do certain things to help turn things around, make it even more difficult. So what is it? What was the point of doing the CBA this way? Setting it up where, well, we're going to want to keep, everybody wants to keep their players. We'll do super maxes if they make all NBA teams.
It's geared more towards smaller market teams being able.
Why does the NBA want small market teams to flourish?
Because they moan and groan when teams like the Lakers
gives a shit about Oklahoma City, and no one cares about Minnesota. This is basketball. They want LA Lakers. They want, I don't even know if they want the Celtics. They want Miami. They want Philly. They want New York. That's what fans want. Are we going to really watch Oklahoma City versus I want to see what the ratings are on that. Not that it matters, guys. Again, viewership in the NBA was at an all-time high this year from what I heard, which I don't even know if that's true. I don't know if that's just played around.
Well, they're going to tell you that because they've got a deal that they're trying to make.
Whatever. Yeah, I'm a cynical person in a lot of ways. I don't believe things. I don't even know if being cynical is actually the right word. It's just I tend to not believe things that don't make sense. I'm sorry. It was the sellouts for the arenas. I'm sorry, not the ratings. It had nothing to do with the ratings. But there's this interest that I don't know is going to be there for Minnesota, Oklahoma City, Western Conference Finals. Are we gonna get a big audience for that? Is Anthony Edwards that big of a draw? Is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander that big of a draw in those uniforms? That's a question.
Good point. So once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching and listening. Truly appreciated. Tonight in the NBA playoffs, we had victories for Boston. Game 1, very much expected. Looking like they didn't have very much of an issue or problem. And Oklahoma City with a very good second half, distancing themselves from Frank's Dallas Mavericks. Your thoughts, my friend? I think Boston, of course, everybody's looking at them to have their way with Cleveland, and then the winner of the series with New York and Indiana, most likely New York. That might be a little bit of a struggle for them because Brunson has played at such an elite level, but ultimately Boston looks like they're going to be able to overcome that right now from what I see. I still think, though, that Minnesota, if they play like they played, as we saw last night, there is no one I think that can match up with them. But I'm hoping that's the case because obviously it prevents from them in Boston from getting number 18. But your thoughts on seeing Boston tonight with their easy victory over Cleveland? Do you think Cleveland will give them any kind of resistance at all?
Probably not. Cleveland is very green. Pardon the hilarity of that. Boston's on a mission. They are the best team in the East. And they're likely going to get to the finals. And if they meet a healthy Minnesota team in the finals, let's say that they end up going to the finals, they're going to have to deal with a defensive stalwart type setup and also have to deal with offensive juggernauts and Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards. And a team that's really playing well. Naz Reid is the best player. He's the best non-starter in the NBA.
And Nickeil Alexander-Walker is playing at a great level himself.
So the playoffs a lot of times are the coming out parties for the one and the two extra guys that are on your team, the guys that you don't really expect to be the difference makers, and all of a sudden become that Bruce Brown type player out of nowhere that just goes on a roll, goes on a run that goes through 4 series and wins and helps you win it all. When you look at the three-peat Lakers, you can look at Derek Fisher being that guy. You can look at Ron Harper being that guy. In the back-to-back championships, you can look at Trevor Ariza being that guy. It's a team game for a reason, folks. And when everyone buys into the system, when everyone's listening to the coach, and you have great players, that's important, probably more than anything. You have 2 great players on Minnesota, and then you have Gobert, who's a very good player and seems to have righted the ship on the early prognostications of it being the worst trade ever in NBA. We over-exaggerate in sports. We don't give things enough time to grow. Well, a little bit of me says I want to see Minnesota win it all, besides the Celtic issue, but I want to see Minnesota win it all so that Tim Connelly can go and get on the podium and say, for all of you who hated on my guy, you can eat it now.
Good point. I mean, all of us crapped on that. Yeah, we all crapped on that Gobert trade.
Well, the defense on the trade was, we've said this a few times, no one is going to Minnesota. No one is going to Oklahoma City willingly. No one goes to these places, folks. So you either got to trade for them or you got to draft them. That's it. That's it. LeBron, where did he go when he was a free agent? LA, Miami. He didn't go to Denver. He didn't go to Charlotte. He went to 2 of the best places you can probably be a celebrity and a big draw. Now, Miami, the city of Miami isn't so much entrenched like it is in LA or New York in terms of the sport of basketball, but it's a hot spot in more ways than one. People want to go to Miami. People would love to have Miami be a all-star weekend every year, right? It's Miami. LA, same thing. Although I think Miami might be a little bit better. I think there's a little bit more culture there versus the LA cesspool that it's become. But it's the total package right now. It is looking like Minnesota's got everything it needs. They win game 3. It's likely going to be a sweep. And then they'll be competitive. Oklahoma City will be competitive should they get out of the Dallas series. But Minnesota, if they end up beating Oklahoma City and they beat them handedly, then there's a very big chance that those guys are finally gonna show something there.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Sorrell along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this. Truly appreciated. Jeremy, I don't mind telling the story. As I do, I usually get more time to do this in the off months that I go ahead and reach out to different Lakers sites to always get different voices to come on the show, whether it's for one interview or if they want to come on as a panelist. And over the years, I've done that. That's how I found Laker Tom and Jamie Sweet. That's John Costa. I mean, that's how I found Stone Hansen as far as on the NBA draft. I mean, I keep reaching out to try and bring good people in there. Sean Grice, for instance, he was part of Lakerholics.com crew. I went to LakersBall.com. I was like, oh, this is interesting. Kind of a throwback because the way they structure their site. And I reached out, put it out there, and he is the one who answered. And there you go. He came on the show and has provided insight ever since. Gerald, what do you think? What do you guys think of Dave Yorger as a coach? I believe he's an assistant. He was at one time the Sacramento coach. Joe, what do you think of Dave? I mean, is he another retread in your eyes?
I don't know if LeBron and AD would
have the respect.
Have the respect, yeah.
That's the thing.
It's a sad thing because I remember Shaq. And, Shaq is a very lovable guy. He's a good man. He takes care of people. But there's a dumb side of Shaq that hindered his greatness. And he would say stupid things like Brian Hill didn't have my respect because he didn't want anything. Kurt Rambis didn't want anything. He didn't, It's like, dude, you're Shaquille O'Neal. Wouldn't it have been better if you won with those guys and then you'd be the reason? Like, he always looked at things like a completely immature schmuck. And he got swept way too many times for a man that dominant. It wasn't until Phil came and Kobe came into his own where he was able to freely be the most dominant force in our lifetime. But it didn't have to go that route. And I wish guys like LeBron and AD, I mean, I guess they can, like, especially LeBron. I think AD can. It's just LeBron has got way too much baggage when it comes to coaches. And he needs to really, really come to grips with the fact that do you really want to win a championship? I think that's the question I would ask LeBron if it was at his exit interview. Do you want to win a championship? He'll probably look at you like, what the frick are you talking about? Yeah, of course I do. I go, you're saying it, but do you really want to win it?
The actions aren't always there.
Yeah, and that's an important thing to know in life. Folks, you get a lot of people that tell you what they want, what they can do. I see it all the time. But then you look at the actions and it's nothing. And then when you call them out on it, they get defensive. Now, if you don't give a crap like I do, it doesn't matter if you get defensive. I'm like, well, show me. What do you do? What do you do? What can you do? I'm not here to babysit. Coach shouldn't be around to babysit either. You're grown-ass men. You're professionals. LeBron James is arguably greatest, top 2, top 3, whatever it is you want to pick him at. Okay, what else is it? What else do you want to do? I keep saying this. I'm going to say it again. It doesn't matter if LeBron scores 50,000 points. No one cares about stats in basketball. It's a nice stat, all-time score, sure. But no one cares really. It's not baseball. Baseball care about stats. Basketball is about greatness, winning in the big stage. Can you do it multiple times? You can't do it like Bill Russell did, or Sam Jones, or Havlicek. Havlicek won 8, Sam Jones won 10, Bill Russell won 11. Those were at a time when the league had 6, 7, 8, 9, and 12 teams, right? Now, what's the modern day number? The modern day number is 6. Sorry, Robert Horry, you have 7, but you were a role player. You weren't star of your teams. Still love you though. But Jordan is the Bill Russell of the last 50 years. The 6 is the high number. And it matters. It matters if you want to get close to that guy. LeBron James, do you want to get close to that guy? I don't think he's going to win 2 championships, but he might have one more left in him if you get it right. But he has to play ball too. Why didn't he support Frank Vogel? I liked Frank Vogel. I thought Frank Vogel was a good coach. He at least had something that he was really, really good at. And it really, really helped the Lakers. Even when they didn't win championships, they were good. That second season in 2021, they were the number 1 defense in the league. And they couldn't score for damn anything. Well, now you can sit and say, well, our guys are out. We can't score because AD and LeBron aren't playing. But hell, we got everyone else playing defense. That's pretty damn good, especially without AD. And at that time, LeBron, who played a little bit. These are the things that kind of make you go crazy. You make a horrible trade, and then on top of that, you compound it with getting rid of a coach that actually was good, that we didn't have to worry about every freaking game making stupid decisions. So now we fall into the flavor of the month, J.J. Riddick. The same guy who called Jerry West a plumber. So more disrespect for Laker greats by hiring that chump.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Joe Soro and I are here for you right now. Wanted to go ahead, before we head on out, to congratulate, as far as the Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert. Not only on one day, he has a birth of a son. The next day, he is announced as the Defensive Player of the Year. I know that kind of frustrated Joe.
How in the hell does the 4th place guy, Anthony Davis, get more first place votes
and more third place votes
than the third guy in that? I'm doing my research on these voters. There's lists of voters on my research that are on there, but some of them are not 100% confirmed. So I'm worried about calling some people out in that list in case they might not be. So I'm going to be doing. I don't even know if they even allow some of those official lists to come out. There's some common sense picks in there. We know Bill Simmons is a voter. We know that. We know Stephen A. Smith is a voter, but at the same time, I want the whole list, and I want to know why, and I want to know where they're from and why they're picked, and why these votes go the way they go. They need to be called out. I'm sick and tired of Ohio and the Northeast having the majority of these votes. These scumbags do not watch games on the West Coast. Why do you have these guys all in the Northeast and in the Midwest?
Excellent point. Why is that the case? Because
And
again,
if you can't find anyone, what about, isn't this all the equality BS that we hear all the time? How about making it equal then? You got the best defensive player of the last decade that hasn't sniffed, even in 2020, which was he was a freaking menace the entire season, was a distant second to Giannis. Why? What is it? What is the deal with these a-holes not giving the awards to the right people?
Because again, AD did finish 4th behind Bam Adebayo, Victor Wembanyama, and Rudy Gobert.
I'm tired.
He did get more first place votes and more third place votes than Bam Adebayo. So figure that one
Who
out.
the hell is afraid of Bam Adebayo? Who? What does he do on defense? I've watched him play for years. What exactly does he do that instills fear? So you take Gobert over AD all day. Okay, that's your preference. That's fine. But I've never seen Gobert guard three guys at once, over and over and over again.
Okay, so ask Gobert to score 20 points a game, Pale Fox. Oh, we do watch Gobert. Don't tell us we don't watch Gobert. We do watch Gobert.
Guys, you guys got to stop talking out of your ass. Seriously, you don't think I watch Rudy Gobert? You don't think I've been watching him for the last 6 years, 7 years, 8 years? Come on,
he plays
up.
One side of the ball. That's all he can do. The Minnesota is going to win the title because that they have a great team defense and they've got enough playmakers on the offensive end. Gobert goes up for the lobs. That's what he does on offense. That's all he can do on offense. So come on. Don't say don't say he's better player than overall than AD because he's not. And we know that. And you know that, Pale Fox. There we go. They come in here, they troll, they hit and run, and they leave.
Well, just don't say we don't watch. It's a stupid comment. We watch. We watched all 89 Laker games this year, plus the other 5 preseason games.
Yeah, Bam Adebayo. Well, Bam Adebayo is the one I really just have to question. I don't. It's just he has got. It's more rep, I think, than actual on court defensive production. I could Wembanyama. How could I mean the stats are there for Wembanyama?
Wembanyama has. Don't be surprised if he wins it next year.
Yeah,
and I would have picked him actually, to be honest with you. I saw players. I saw a 3-on-1 break, and they didn't know what to do. I can't remember if it was Indiana. I can't remember what team it was. That is fear. That is someone who puts fear in your thoughts. This game is already difficult. Playing with the talent they have, jumping out the building, being able to shoot from anywhere on the court. The last thing you need is to hesitate. The second you hesitate, it's over. That's what Wembanyama is, and that's what he'll be. Don't be surprised if that guy wins 5-6 Defensive Player of the Years before it's all said and done.
Pale says to you, Gobert doesn't make multiple plays on D, is what you said, and that is ass talking.
Oh, so Gobert is guarding 3 guys at once, Pale? I don't remember seeing that. I'd like to see the video.
I'd like to see him average 20 points in a year.
Does Gobert guard forwards and guards at the 3-point line?
He can. He does. I will give him that. He does.
And how many times did they go by him?
They were in Utah. They're not doing as much now.
Now they're not, because now they have a coach that's creating a little bit more security for everyone. You have Karl Anthony Towns who's actually playing defense. Karl Anthony Towns never played defense.
You remember Utah, Joe, each and every year, like clockwork, he would get played off the floor because a team would go 5 out, and there you go. Minnesota, with the way they have it structured, Joe, have figured out a way to keep Gobert on the court, playing at the perimeter against guys he switched on to, Joe. So they've found the key to the success. I will give Chris Finch and the guy. We never talk about the assistant coach for Minnesota, the guy who's actually going up and down because Chris Finch is right on the bench because of a knee. We don't talk about him as a possible Lakers head coach because of what they're doing. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. You guys throw out worst, I guess, options out there at us. Why not him?
I would love a smart coach who knows how to coach. The problem is, what's the roster going to be, and are they going to respect that coach?
I'm just saying that Minnesota assistant coach right now, that's right now going up the sidelines.
I think my instincts say that I want someone who's fresh, but really, really, really good at what they do. But the respect has to be there.
Okay.
You can't pull the Shaq line. I'm not respecting anybody who doesn't have credentials. Well, how the hell are they supposed to have credentials? Is that what Jordan said to Phil after they fired Doug Collins in 1990? Oh
Because
well,
Mika Nori, that's the guy.
Phil doesn't have the credentials. I don't respect him. No, I mean, just LeBron needs to get in his mind a little bit and understand that he is going to play a huge part in this decision, but not make the call. He's got to play a part in it. But the coach that comes in is going to have to tell LeBron, hey, stop flailing after not getting a call. Who has the balls to do that and have his respect?
Mika Nori, just keep that name in mind, everyone out there, because that's the guy who's actually trolling up the sidelines right now because of the injury to Chris Finch, who's sitting at the end of the bench. Still,
I know who Mika Nori is.
Yeah. No, but I'm just telling our audience out there who the assistant coach is that you're seeing right now at the front of what's going on for Minnesota.
I am in agreement with Jay. I don't think Mika, if he's smart, I wouldn't coach.
Oh, if he's smart. Well, that doesn't help our cause, Joe. If you say, okay, well, you go up to every assistant coach, say,
it's a good idea. It's not good. It's not. The percentages of this coming out well is not good.
I didn't say you were wrong on that. I'm not saying you were wrong on that. That's why I ask if there's still a championship duo, because the odds are not in their favor.
I would say probably at this point, with just them being the integral parts of this, no. Not with the way Minnesota's playing, not with the way the Oklahoma City will likely start playing next year when they have another year under their belt.
Yeah, because I think Oklahoma City right now, they don't have enough size to match up with Minnesota. I think that's the problem for them. Minnesota, with that size, reach, speed, and youth, they can overwhelm, I believe, every other team out there the way they're playing right now. And that includes Boston.
Yeah. And they have a superstar on two superstars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You got two superstars, one that's entering his prime a little early, and then Cat, who's in his prime, and then of course you have the third star in the Defensive Player of the Year. This has got to be Minnesota's year. They're going to be that looks like they're going to be the Denver of 2024.
Now Indiana has depth. We're seeing, Joe, because their bench with Toppin and McConnell, who I always liked to, there were those days that Laker Tom was shoving that trade of Heald and Turner down our throats. And I say, throw McConnell in there, please. And I'll start to get interested, because McConnell has proven to play very well in the playoffs so far. Same thing with Obi Toppin. The problem is their starting lineup has been what's holding them back. That's why they didn't get the job done against the Knicks. Halliburton he has to step it up for them in game 2. Otherwise it'll be all over pretty soon.
What would Indiana need to get to the next level?
I think they're one player short.
Like a Bam Adebayo, maybe?
To go alongside Turner, possibly.
Yeah. I think they're in need of that kind of player to fit in there. But we'll never know, because the NBA makes it difficult to acquire talent. See, Zangerstein, parity in the NBA is not the same as the NFL. You can't usually get. I know it's starting to change a little bit. You have Jokic, who was a second-round pick, and again, I might be wrong on this. Maybe the NBA will get to that point where they can be like the NFL, where they can draft someone in the second round that ends up becoming a multiple MVP like Jokic. It's happening. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the parity will help over time, and the better scouts, the better assessments, whatever, that gets you star players in later rounds and in the second round. Maybe that might work. Maybe you're right. We're still going to watch, I guess. So there's really no point in complaining, I guess.
Well, again, when it comes to Bam Adebayo on the Heat, who knows what's going to happen
He
there?
wouldn't
But
need to be special. He wouldn't need to be special on Indiana. He just needs to be Bam. But they would have to acquire him. So
Miami might make some deals, and that may include Bam, but I think it's going to include Jimmy Butler. I think after yesterday's comments from Pat Riley, I think Jimmy Butler is not. There's a good chance he may not return.
I wouldn't pay. I'm not gonna pay Jimmy Butler a max deal.
No, I wouldn't either. Yeah, I wouldn't either. So, I mean, just the way he was telling him to shut his mouth, i.e., Jimmy Butler. That was. Well, he did mince words. Once Jimmy Butler's name came up, he did mince words. And Tyler Hero calling him a little fragile, which he is, Joe.
Is he fragile or he just doesn't like to play games?
Look at his numbers of his games for a guy that's still on the younger side of
it. It's a hard thing to say considering Jimmy Butler's sonic mode in the playoffs in 2020 and 2023 was the reason why the Miami Heat were able to get to the finals.
Now, this really intrigues me in the chat, Joe. Homelander TV is asking, let's get Klay Thompson. My question to you is one word. Why? Did you see his 0 for 10 shooting against Sacramento? You know the guy is well beyond 30, has had a knee and an Achilles go bye-bye. And you're saying you want to devote $15-20 million, right around, let's just say right around the money that Grayson Allen signed for Joe, $18 million thereabouts for Klay Thompson. Is that a wise move in your opinion?
No.
Homelander, I just want to understand your thinking, why you think getting Klay Thompson would be great. We talk about KD. I know Lakers in 5 is running a show right now talking about KD coming over to the Lakers and the latest rumors there. Why do we want to go after all these older players, Joe? It just, you want to get younger against these younger teams, not older.
I don't know. I don't know what I don't know what the deal is with the names and being stuck with the names still. The Klay Thompson was great 5 years ago. He's done, folks. If you want to sign him for $5 million a year, I'll take him.
Yeah, that's $5 million is great, but he's not going to sign for that, Joe. He still thinks he's worth quite a bit more.
I am sorry to say I wouldn't invest money in Klay. And if Golden State ends up re-signing him for $20 million, I think they're pretty much putting the stake in their own hearts in terms of any chance of them ever competing again for a championship.
I mean, it just, I don't get it. I don't get the rationale. I mean,
there isn't a rationale. Most of the decision makers in the NBA and fan bases in general are not really, especially the fan bases. They don't have the consequences by saying certain deals should happen, and when they do, they're fans. They don't get fired. They don't get ridiculed, and there's less issues with. I'm sorry, do you guys hear that?
Yes, we do hear it.
Sorry, my
alarm going on.
Alarm is going off. It tends to go off right around 11 o'clock every night. So try to ignore it as best you can. Mm-hmm. The available talent for the Lakers is going to have to come through some kind of trade. If they're able to find a team that would be willing to work with them, and it's likely going to need a third team to not have to worry about putting all their assets in it. They're going to have to get the right guy. Trae Young seems to be the name that comes out a lot. There's some issues with Trae Young in terms of will he be a guy that can take the Lakers over the top? Yeah, he could. He could be that guy. His defense got a little bit better this year. It's not as bad as it was the last few years, so that's a positive thing. But the other thing is you can't lose your depth when you do that. Can the Lakers make that happen? The answer is no. Atlanta's going to look for a haul because Trae Young is, if he stays healthy for the next 10 years, going to be a Hall of Famer. He is Steph Curry light, and that's Hall of Fame worthy.
I just don't think he's at that level. I think he's a poor man's Steph at best. I just don't think he's good enough.
No, he's good.
I don't think he's good enough.
He's very good. He's a very good basketball player.
I just don't think he's good enough. I think he's a bucket getter. But as far as someone that's going to help your team get to the next level, I don't see it because he just doesn't play that good on the defensive end. Unless you have, Joe, a team built around him. Hold on, hear me out. Like Orlando with a ton of defensive options. That makes more sense. That is something that could be a possibility because Orlando does need that type of dynamic offensive individual.
Well, you have a guy who took the Hawks a few years ago at a young age to the Eastern Conference Finals. And you didn't really have anybody on that team that you could say, hey, there's a second guy here. So can Trae Young flourish with someone else there to help him?
How about where they are now, Pale Fox? They aren't doing so hot right now. You're talking about something like the Lakers. People talk and touch on the Lakers. What happened? Okay, they won a championship in 2020. When was that year that they went to the conference finals? In 2021. What have they done since?
Well, the point is he's capable of carrying a little bit, but he does need help.
That's why I think Orlando would be a better fit for him because it's better suited to his talents. The Lakers just don't have the type of
if they have a Paolo, if he plays with someone like Paolo, that would work. That actually would be a good setup. But who would Orlando give for Trae Young? I think actually that's a great pick. Actually, I have to be honest with you.
They have enough young talent on that team.
I think that would actually be the ideal place.
That's what they're going to need. They need offense on that.
If they're able to get Trae Young with Paolo showed something even in the Game 7 loss. He's coming up. He's going to be the guy that you're going to be not going to be able to mess with. So they would help each other out.
Now, if Spider decides he wants to come to the Lakers, that may be different.
That would be a huge, huge help. Him with LeBron and AD would work. Absolutely. I think Trae Young would work too, but I think Spider would.
I think Spider better in playoff. I'm talking about playoff.
Donovan Mitchell would definitely just absolutely take a lot of the baggage off AD and LeBron. I'm telling you, when they're able to sit and he's there, it's a huge advantage for them. LeBron needs his rest during the game. If he gets,
I just think playoff matchup wise, Joe, I think Spider is a better playoff matchup for us.
I agree. Yeah, especially out west. Yeah. But I do like a guy that can dish. I do like a point guard that can dish and score, though. That this is the NBA in 2024. I think that it still would be good. It's just I do like a wing who can score 40, drop 40 on people too.
Alan, I don't seriously think we're going to be able to land Spider. So it's just talk for us right now. We got a lot of conversation. We got a lot of talk we got to go through, Alan. But yes, I remind you, how many teams have 3 superstars? Not too many. You see, it didn't work very well for Phoenix. I agree. It's more about building an entire team again. But if the Lakers, they go star hunting. They absolutely love it. Even Pale Fox will tell you that the Lakers love to go star hunting. So Trae Young, obviously, his name's going to be bandied about there. Spider, if he is going to be quickly eliminated by Boston, he's not going to be loving everything about Cleveland. He probably won't sign the extension. And so that he make his options a lot deeper. So the speculation will begin on where Spider might go next after that. So Xbox is really into spiders because we started on the spider conversation. Funny. But yes, a lot of conversation we're going to have, Alan, all over the place. We got to answer a lot of it here in the chat. All the rumors, all the innuendo, whether it's good, whether it's bad. We're going to be talking about it because we got plenty of days and times to cover here because it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is one of the few Lakers channels that does go continuously throughout the offseason. Just great to have you here. But Joe, the NBA playoffs march on tomorrow. Only one game. They're trying to space. This is the part of the week where they try to space things out. So we don't get the 2 games here for a little while. But any last thoughts, my friend, on it before we end it out?
So tomorrow, who do we have? The Knicks and the Indiana Pacers?
Yes, I believe so. And then I know game on Thursday, and then there's a game on Friday with the Minnesota Denver game. I'll see if anybody else is coming up.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I can see Boston taking Cleveland out in 4 and 5, and then eventually beating, let's say, New York. I'll pick New York over Indiana, and probably 6 at worst. And then it's going to come down to who stays healthy. If Minnesota stays healthy the rest of the way, I think they take it home.
Okay, so Wednesday, it is Indiana at New York. Thursday, there is 2 games. I want to stand corrected. Cleveland at Boston and Dallas at Oklahoma City. And Friday, it is 2 games, New York and Indiana and Denver at Minnesota. So just tomorrow, we only have 1 game on the books. So I always like those New York games, my friend. It always gets kind of ugly, always gets kind of nasty. That New York MSG crowd gets kind of boisterous. It's always good to see. Jeremy, yeah, we'll look for another topic to talk about when it comes to the Lakers, and we'll try to be on tomorrow. But again, it's all up to Joe, or if anybody else wants to stop on by, I'm always happy to go ahead and do so. So, chance to chat with the folks tomorrow, Joe? More Lakers rumors?
I'd say, yeah, it's likely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Pale, I don't know. Boston looks unstoppable until they get to Minnesota, because Minnesota looks better than Boston, in my opinion, right now. I think the sheer size. If Porzingis is not healthy, I don't think Boston really. I really think Boston will be at a disadvantageous position, Joe, if they don't have Porzingis going into a Minnesota Boston finals.
Yeah, it would have been difficult with him too, but without him, but I don't know, man. That injury is going to be very tricky. We're going to have to see.
You see the calf injury affecting Murray.
Xbox, you can ask me a question anytime, even off air. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Xbox. But yeah, just the size, the sheer size, the number of bodies they can throw with long reach, the ability to defend, to stay in front of both the forwards, Tatum and Brown. I know they played well tonight, but man, going up against those Minnesota players and the versatility that they have, yeah. Xbox has a synthetic turf question for you.
Yes, sir. They are doing reports here in Australia about the black stuff in the turf. Yeah, I'm not a supporter of the black rubber infill in turf. They use it in sports fields. We don't use them in residential and commercial installations. We use either an acrylic infill or a silica sand type infill, which silica sand is known to be unhealthy as well. I try to stick with the acrylic stuff, but never black rubber infill.
But SB, I've got that video you said in the comments. I've got that tuned up, so I'll watch that after we go off the air. Tingus Pingus. So there you go.
The hell is Tingus Pingus?
It deals. I'm looking it up right now. It's something relating to Kristaps Porzingis. So,
what was the name again?
Tingus Pingus. I'll get you the link for it. You can watch it after.
Tingus.
It related to when he was drafted by the Knicks. So. Yeah, it's supposed to be hilarious. I'll actually see it listed on YouTube. I'll throw you the link here in just a second. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. I want to thank everybody on a off day for in this off season for checking us out. You guys want us back tomorrow, so we will come back tomorrow. We'll try to find some more Lakers related things to talk about, and of course we'll talk about what recap the New York Knicks game against the Indiana Pacers as well, and more ways to figure out how these voters vote against the Los Angeles Lakers, and that always seems to do us in. But we will go ahead and talk about it again and talk about all the things that are going on with the Lakers coaching, Rob Pelinka, the players, whatever we can do to go ahead and make your time our time as well, and talk about the Lakers right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. I'll throw it on the link, everyone, so you can check it out. Be safe.